inch pinned on both of the hip areas because we want to maintain that ease. Okay, so to check the fit, you can put it on right side out and see how it looks, but also most everyone's going to need to do some adjustment. So this is how I would go about doing it. I'm just making sure that my seam matches at the side seam here. So I'm going to put a pin to hold it at the side seam and here at the side seam as well. Okay, so here and here, I'll do the same thing right here. And do keep in mind that this is, you know, marked off a little differently than I had it a year ago. Okay, so there you go. So I've got those pinned. Now I want to adjust the different areas that are a little large, and you can see I've already started doing that here. I've got it pinned. I actually had to take the seam apart because it wasn't fitting real well and it needs to be taken in extra. And the way I like to approach it is if this seam is matching well here, then I like to take it in on the side panel more. Don't overstretch this because it is bias, but sometimes we have to take in more on the side panel, and that gives us a better shape. We don't want this seam to go in, okay? So if you're gonna take it out, if it matches well now, then take it out on the side piece, okay? And then you just pin it where you believe it needs to be. It doesn't hurt to take the stitching out and do the adjustment, okay? So use the original seam on the center panel and then adjust it for the side panel, okay? Okay, so that looks a lot better in here. Under the bust, typically we like this to fit nicely under the bust. And so here at the bust area, it looks good, but I could take it in more here. So I'm going to just take some pins, and what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side, okay? You're going to just average out whatever you take in, because keep in mind, your form could be asymmetrical, meaning one side's a little different than the other. But when we create garments and we put them into production, we make them symmetrical, okay? So that just means, you know, average out the adjustment, okay? Now, if I'm making a real corset, I'm gonna get rid of this ease here. On a corset like this, that you have a busk in the front and you have it lace up the back, you do negative ease. You actually make it a little smaller because when you draw the laces, the body will compress. But if you're gonna put a zipper into it, I wouldn't make it negative ease. I would keep a lot, you know, some of that ease in there. So just make sure you can pinch. We should be able to pinch a little ease there. But I would scoop it under the bust and really get that nicely fitted in there. That's just pretty, okay? You can have a little extra in the tummy, but here is the main amount of ease that you need. In the back, make sure it matches the princess, and if it doesn't, and I think maybe I could pin the center back a little more. I think I don't quite have it on the 1 inch. And that matches really well. See how it matches? Okay, so overall, I think it looks pretty good. And that would be the changes that I would make. Okay, so it shouldn't take too long. Number one, match up your underarm. Make sure your style lines are matching. If you added seam allowance top and bottom, then make sure you extend the seam allowance that you added above. I said not to, but if you did, just extend it above the style line where you put the tape, right? Okay, and then pin top, bottom, make sure you keep that 1/4 inch ease in the hip. I pinned it first, then I pinned it to the form. Then you're just checking the landmarks. Do they match, okay? And then you're just contouring it a little more, okay? You get your thing pinned, you make sure it's pinned equally. You can mark it, you take it off, you adjust the pattern, you take this apart, you recut it, and sew it together for next Monday with boning on it. I don't care what kind of boning you use. You can do Ridgeline, you can use a tape, you know, the kind with the plastic that goes in it. take the boning out, sew the boning channel on, put the boning back in, secure the top with basting, secure the bottom with basting, okay? And then we check it. We'll look at everybody's next Monday. Today, you're gonna do what I just did and get a good fit. And then after you do that, I want you to, and you can take a picture of that, then I want you to begin your drape of your project, okay? So I want you to tape off your form, tear your fabric, and start draping, okay? Now I did this updated schedule, and if you take advantage of the time the way I show it here, you should get it done and have a successful project, okay? So I suggest the draping here, fit here, fix the pattern, second fitting, sewing, sewing, okay? Projects due November 13, late November 15, and there should be no late after that.